of the Board of Directors for Camarillo Water District, and on behalf of the entire board, the general manager, the staff, and the friends of Camarillo, it's my pleasure to welcome all of you to the future of water production in California. Before we get further into the agenda, I want to take a minute and introduce the Board of Directors for Camarillo, who helped shepherd this project from inception. On my right, the Vice President of the Board, Terry Foreman. Next to him, Director Jeff Brown. Director Al Fox next to him, and we're missing only Director Tim Hogue, who is stuck at work today. In addition, there are a few other folks whose presence I'd like to acknowledge and thank as well. From the city of Camarillo, Mike Morgan. Mike, where are you? There you are. How do you do? From the city of Port Hueneme, John Sharkey. John, thank you. Representing Assembly Member Irwin, John Bryson. Thank you, John. From State Senator Fran Papley's office, Marie Lakin. Marie, thank you. And Ventura County Supervisor Linda Parks. Linda, thank you for being here. We're here today to celebrate the opening of the first potable water desalination facility in Ventura County. There are other desal facilities, but this is the first potable water facility of its type. But more than that, we're here to celebrate and to honor the vision and the visionaries, the people and the partners that made this project possible. This may be a Camarillo plant, but it really is a tribute to water independence and regional cooperation. This celebration wouldn't happen today were it not for the cooperation of our partners, our friends, particularly our friends at Callegas, whose leadership in the development of the salinity management pipeline makes this facility possible. Now, these days there are more water problems on the horizon than storm clouds. Every time I turn on the radio or open the newspaper, I'm reminded of Mark Twain's aphorism that whiskey's for drinking and water's for fighting about. Well, Mark Twain was only half right. This facility demonstrates that we don't need to fight over water anymore. You know, this technology is proof that there's a long-term, sustainable, affordable, high-quality solution to California's water project and water needs. Now, unfortunately, among the list of dignitaries here, we don't have anybody from the governor's office or the state agencies that regulate water use. That's kind of unfortunate, but they're very busy drafting regulations telling us what we shouldn't do. They're too busy to leave Sacramento and come here to find out what we can do. And this is proof of exactly that. This kind of project doesn't happen overnight. This is about a dozen years in the making. It's taken a great deal of courage. You know, it takes a lot of courage to develop a project that you're hoping you won't need. You know, if we have enough rain, then hopefully we don't have to turn this facility on day and night. In any event, the courage and the leadership for the heavy lifting of this project was provided foremost by Camarillo's general manager, Tony Stafford. Tony?
Thanks, Gene. I too want to thank everybody for coming out today. But before I talk specifically about this project, as you were driving in and to your back is a facility, and I'm just going to talk a minute about a couple of projects that are just a series of projects that we've accomplished with cooperation with other people. This is a water reclamation facility behind you that produces 1.5 million gallons per day of recycled water that is used to offset drinking water and groundwater. This facility supplies irrigation water for the university behind you, Cal State University Channel Islands. It also, we're working with our ag business customers, developed a demand that they use this water instead of pumping water from the ground. The other facility that we need to remember is the Conejo Creek facility. It's a project that has delivered over 100,000 acre feet of non-potable water to Camarillo Water District and to Pleasant Valley County Water District. And that's another project that was teamwork. It was agencies working together. Cayugas, City of Thousand Oaks, Pleasant Valley, Metropolitan was involved. So it was a big project, and we're still delivering 10,000 acre feet a year of that water. So getting here today to this project, where are we? Well, behind you, you have a water treatment facility. It's Round Mountain Water Treatment Plant that delivers 1,000 acre feet of drinking water per day. That's 10% of our drinking water demand that we're offsetting. That's water we do not have to import from the Delta. That's water we don't have to pump from other basins. And what we're doing is taking a brackish water resource, cleaning it up, and serving it for drinking water. But not only that, because of the salts that we're removing tons of salt from the Cayugas watershed. Any water you import has a makeup of constituents in the water, and one of them is salt. And anytime you import water, you're bringing salt in. Well, what this project does is deliver drinking water, and it removes salts. And we're able to remove those salts because Cayugas, through foresight in putting in the salinity management pipeline, allows us to discharge into the pipeline, and the salts are delivered to the ocean. And if anybody has been involved in developing RO or desalters, they know one of the toughest things to figure out is how you're going to dispose of that. Well, the SMP, which is the salinity management pipeline, allows us to do that. So this plant is exciting. It's the first of many that we have slated to either develop new water resource or enhance our existing water resources. And I just need to point out a few things. This is a teamwork effort. This plant was designed by MWH. Mr. Jim Borchard and Michael Edelman are here today, and they'd be glad to talk to you about that process. It was constructed, the physical facility was constructed by GSE Construction, and Anthony Clark, or better known as TJ, is here, and he can answer some of those questions. And then our staff, which is made up of Terry Curson, who's our project engineer, Mike Phelps, which is our water quality manager, and Robert Barone, which is superintendent of operations, played a big role in making this plant happen. But engineers and managers know that it doesn't matter how well you design or build. You can have the best intentions, but if you don't have an operating staff that takes ownership of the project, it's going to be tough to make successful. Well, I need to point out two individuals, and I'm hesitant to point these guys out because they've been on this from the ground floor, and their resume looks so much better than it did a year and a half ago. And I know some of you in the audience are looking at desal units, so I would appreciate it if you want to talk to them today. No, seriously, they're great to talk to. They have a wealth of knowledge here. But I need to talk about Kevin Wall and Josh Smith. These are two individuals that took ownership of this project, and a lot of staff have worked on this, but these two guys have babysat that and tweaked it, and they continue to tweak it to make it a successful project. So, and just to let you know, they will be giving tours of this plant afterwards, and so I'm not going to explain it now because they are smarter than I am, and you'll get better answers from these guys. But how did we get to this point? You know, we're talking about how it was finished, but how did we get to this point? And it was the foresight, and as Mr. West said earlier, it was the foresight of the Cayugas board and their management team. It was the foresight of our board and management team, because it was a decade in the making to get to this point. And somebody asked, well, did you know a drought was going to happen now? No, we didn't have that good foresight, but we knew a drought would happen, and we knew we needed to develop a reliable source and balance our portfolio and not be so reliant on import water. And that's what this accomplishes. 10% of our potable demand is delivered through this plant. But as most of us realize, our successes are often on the backs of others. And there's three individuals I need to recognize that started this process. One is Bob Wilbur. he no longer works with Camarillo, but he's an engineer's engineer. He's the guy that would take apart a part and take it home and mill it and work on it, solve solutions, and bring it back to work the next day and say, I've got it solved. And then for those of us who weren't smart enough to read drawings, he would take styrofoam and make a scaled model of what the facility would look like so operators could look at it and see if there were going to be any issues. So, Bob, we appreciate the work you did on this. You are part of this team. The other is the general manager, when I started to work here, Mr. Richard Hages. He was my mentor. And I know some of you that know both of us will probably say I should have paid more attention during their mentorship. But it is what it is. But he knew how to work with the board. He knew how to see the vision, how to see what needed to be done in years later, even though he knew that he wouldn't be here when we had the ribbon cutting ceremony as an employee. So I learned a lot from Richard. I was looking at papers. And to tell you about this project, he signed the agreement for the well that pumps into this facility in 2004, a decade ago. So that was a great insight from the board and from our management at that time. So Richard, thank you. And then the general manager before me, Mr. Frank Royer. You know, to make this, because projects take so long, you have to have a line of people that are willing to carry that torch. And Frank did just that. We had to go through easements. We had to develop plans. And Frank was a big player in making sure this project got to this point today. So we appreciate the work you've done. Again, I want to thank Ciegas and their staff for the work that they've done and their cooperation and making this project successful. What I want to do at this time is introduce Mr. Andy Waters with the Ciegas Board.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody, for coming. I'd like to thank the Camarillo Board for staying the course and getting this project online. We talk about doing all the time or getting something done or trying to do. These gentlemen and their staff, and they did it. You know, that's why we're here today. Having a local resource that we can rely on is extremely important to our board, Ciegas. Over here on my left with Director Boyce, Director Scott Quigley, Director Quady, I'm sorry, President Quady, he's the, and, sorry, I lost my train of thought. Anyways, this project I visited about a year ago. Excited then to see it come online, to see it work, to be the first paying customer that Ciegas had the vision to do, again, 15 years ago, long before my time. For those people to see this, when I became involved, I saw the numbers, very scary to look at, but driving forward, these people have done a great job putting it together, making it work for all of us, and I'm very lucky to have this group of people in my district that I can point to as an example of what we can do together as a team. So thank you all for coming. Susan Milligan, can you pick up what I forgot?
I'll pick up one after you forgot. Aside from President Quigley, we have Director Tom Slauson from Simi Valley. I would like to thank the Camarillo Water District and its board and congratulate them on the completion of this facility. Camarillo continues to take a leadership role. They have taken a leadership role for probably the last 15, 20 years, developing recycled water projects. And here again, they are demonstrating their commitment to developing local resources, diversifying their portfolio, and getting more reliability for their customers. They are truly an example for our region. As we head into the summer, following yet another winter that wasn't, in terms of snowpack and rainfall and key water levels in reservoirs below average, the entire state's facing unprecedented water supply challenges. More of us every day are becoming anxious about what Mother Nature has in store for us. So it's important that those of us entrusted with providing reliable water supplies take on projects like this. And the time to take them on isn't in the middle of a drought. The time to take them on is 10 or 15 years before the drought starts, because they take a very, very long time to come to fruition. And they're a little bit expensive. They're sometimes more expensive than imported supplies, so it takes some courage on the part of boards to implement these projects. Ultimately, they end up being less expensive and more reliable, but it's tough in those first years. So Camarillo is really taking action and providing a leader. I would like also to thank our board of directors, the current board, who is continuing to invest in the salinity management project, and our previous board, who 15 years ago had the vision to embark on a salinity management pipeline that some said wouldn't come to fruition. Some people said it's the pipe to nowhere. But the truth is, it's providing an important supply for our region. I'd also like to thank our staff, consultants, contractors. We've been building this pipe for over a decade, and it's been a huge amount of work. You'd think pipes would be easy to put in the ground. They are not. They're very difficult. And I'm going to embarrass and call out 3 people, and this doesn't mean that the others aren't important. They are, but there are 3 who have put more into this project than anyone else. One is Jamal Holtz. If you raise your hand. The inspector, who's been out on Winemi Road for the last 10 years of his life. Another is Bob Beamer, who has put his heart and soul and lost 10 years of his life off of this project. And finally, Reen Kunataki, the pipeline designer, who has been there night and day solving problems on these projects. So, the other thing we're glad about, this is a wonderful facility. It's especially wonderful for Callegas because it's our first paying customer. We've been spending money for so long, and now we have a little bit of revenue. And we eagerly look forward to more customers in the future. We're looking to build the pipeline north and east. Just 2 nights ago, our board approved a $7 million project, an award of a contract to bring the water up into the Las Posas Valley to the Somas area. And we are studying an extension up into Santa Rosa Valley, hope to get underway on that construction soon, and allow access for the Santa Rosa folks and the Conejo Valley folks to be able to build desalters as well, and then finally up into Simi Valley. So this facility here as a leader is going to be valuable to others in the area. There are others here I know who are looking at building desalters, and lessons learned, because none of these things ever go smoothly, are going to be a big help for everybody else that wants to build desalters. It truly serves as a showcase for the region, and again, we commend Camarillo for leading the way. Thank you.
We're going to take just a couple of minutes. There's going to a couple of individuals want to make some presentations. So, council member for the city of Camarillo, Mr. Mike Morgan.
Number one, this is not just a kudo or a congratulations from Camarillo, but the whole city. Thank you, Camarillo, because we are the city of Camarillo. We enjoy the water. And a lot of that's going to be help alleviate some costs of water in the future in the areas controlled by Camarillo, which we appreciate. Hopefully in 2 years you can come see ours. That can service the rest of the city. We're working hard to get that thing done. We have billions of gallons of salt water below us that keeps growing. We've measured it in our different tanks, and it's affecting actually affecting our good water because there's so much of it now and pressure of it. So hopefully next month or so we'll get the good old go for it from GMA, and then we can start construction of our plant. We also found out something else that might go your way, and we found people that came to us that want the brine water because they can make cakes out of it and some other things that can be used. So I'm sorry, that should go to Callegas because they own the line and they can sell them. They could make money out of them.
That works.
But I'll give it to you. Anyway, on behalf of the city of Camarillo, I'd like to congratulate Camarillo Water District on the opening of Round Mountain Water Treatment Plant, which will meet the current and future needs of the community for Water and Sanitary Services, presented this day for the City Council of the City of Camarillo. Thank you very much.
And now I'd like to welcome County of Ventura Board Supervisor Linda Parks.
Well, I do want to congratulate you very much on being able to pull this off. I mean, I know that it took a huge collaboration, and I also know that the Watershed Coalition was helpful, and along with Callegas, and getting grant funds for this, and they've gotten tens of millions of dollars in grant funds. And so it's great to see the leadership that Camarillo has brought forward on behalf of the Board of Supervisors. I want to give you this certificate of congratulations and appreciation for the good work. We only have so much water, so it's good that we can use what we can. Thank you.
We're going to wrap up this soon with a ribbon cutting, and we'll open the facility, give tours, invite everybody inside. As Susan said, this is the first, but it's not the last. There are already plans in the works for a good 8 to 10 similar facilities along the SMP that hopefully will relieve the burden on Callegas, but more importantly, will relieve the water production burden, here in Ventura County. With that, let's proceed with the ribbon cutting, shall we?
Excuse me.
Board members and staff, elected officials, come on up for
Hey.
a photo op and we'll cut a ribbon.